Today we're going to be using mental subtraction methods to find the total gap across a multiple of 10. When we want to find out a gap across a multiple of 10, we've got to train our brain to find the gaps. First of all, the gap to a multiple of 10, and then a gap from a multiple of 10. So our gap from 34 to 40 is 6. And remember, we used our jigsaw numbers to get that. Our gap from 40 to 48 is 8. We looked at the digit in the ones column to help us with that. Here's another one. We want to know the total gap between 76 and 85. First of all, we think of the next multiple of 10 after 76, which is 80. And then we find the gap. The gap between 76 and 80 is 4. And the gap between 80 and 85 is 5. Now to find the total gap, what we need to do is add these two digits together. So 4 plus 5 is 9. The total gap from 76 to 85 is 9. Let's try some more. I want to find the total gap between 34 and 49. So the first thing I'm thinking of is the next multiple of 10 after 34, which is 40. Now I want to find the gaps. The gap between 34 and 40 is 6. The gap between 40 and 49 is 9. My total gap is 6 plus 9, or we can switch that around and make it 9 plus 6, which is 15. By now you should be able to think these numbers in your head. So the gap between 82 and 96, I'm going to think what the next multiple of 10 is. And I don't need to write it down, I can just keep it in my brain. I'm going to think what the gap between 82 and 90 is. I don't actually need to write it down because I should be able to hold that number in my brain. And the gap from 90 to 96, I can think that gap as well, hold it in my brain. And then those two numbers that I've got in my brain, 6 and 8, I'm going to add those together to get 14. So my total gap between 82 and 96 is 14. So when we're finding gaps across a multiple of 10, what we're really doing is solving subtraction problems. So this question here is 85 subtract 76. So I need to think about the gap. In my brain, I'm going to think of the gap between 76 and its next multiple of 10, which of course is 80. So that gap is 4. I could hold that in my brain because I'm sure my brain can remember that. I'm then going to think about the gap from 80 to 85, which is 5. And I'm sure I could hold that in my brain too. And then I'm going to add them together to get 9. So 85 subtract 76 is 9.